To the residents of Moscow, Bitsa Park was a sprawling, peaceful escape. But between 1992 and 2006, the forest hid a nightmare. Men and women walked into the street, lured by a friendly face and a bottle of vodka, never to walk out again. Behind the terror was Alexander Pichushkin, a man driven not just by desire to kill, but by chilling, cold-blooded quota. 64 victims, one for every square on a chessboard. Born in 1974, Pichuschkin was outwardly ordinary, but those who studied his past point to a pivotal moment in his childhood. At 4 years old, he fell backward off a swinging set, suffering a severe injury at his frontal cortex, the area of the brain responsible for impulse control and empathy. It was said that this swing hit Pichuschkin's head twice. Instead of taking him to the hospital, everyone moved on like nothing happened. Following the accident, Pichuschkin grew increasingly hostile and isolated. Recognizing his grandson's withdrawal, his grandfather introduced him to a game that would later define his atrocities: chess. Pichuschkin proved to be a brilliant player, but the game did not calm his inner dark urges. It merely structured them. In 1992, at just age 18, Pichuschkin claimed his first victim, his classmate, Mikhail Odichuk. Odichuk had initially agreed to help Pichuschkin commit the murder, but when he changed his mind, Pichuschkin killed him instantly, throwing his body down a sewage well. For years, Pichuschkin laid low, but by 2001, his killing spree erupted into full violence. His primary hunting ground was the Bitsa Park, located right near his home. His methodology was precise and terrifying consistent. He targeted the vulnerable elderly men, homeless people, and acquaintances, inviting them into the woods to drink vodka at the grave of his beloved dog. Once his victims were heavily intoxicated, he would strike them from behind on the head with a hammer. As his brutality escalated, he began pushing his victims, dead or alive, into open sewage pipes in the park, ensuring their bodies would be swept away and hidden. Later, he took to pushing broken vodka bottles directly into the head wounds he inflicted, wanting to ensure no one survived. For years, the Moscow police failed to connect the dots because many of his victims were marginalized individuals and their bodies were swept away by underground sewage systems. Many disappearances were logged simply as missing persons or alcohol-related accidents. A witness account says that everyone in the neighborhood knew Alex. He worked at the local supermarket as a loader. He seemed quiet, a bit strange, but harmless. He would sit on the bench, play chess, drink beer. You would never look at him and see a monster, one former neighbor accounted. By 2005, panic swept through Moscow as rumors of the Bitsa Maniac grew. Police flooded Bitsa Park with some officers wearing ordinary clothes. But Pichuschkin knew the forest geography better than the authorities and easily evaded capture. Pichuschkin believed he was invisible, but arrogance eventually led to his undoing. In 2006, he targeted Marina Moskolyova, a female co-worker from the supermarket. Before leaving her home to meet Pichuschkin for a walk in Bitsa Park, Moskolyova left a note on the kitchen table for her son. The note contained Pichuschkin's name and phone number. She also kept a metro ticket in her pocket, recording the exact time she traveled to meet him. According to reports, her son did reach out to Pichuschkin, and Pichuschkin denied ever being with her or seeing her. But Moskolyova was very smart. She kept the ticket in her pocket. She did not throw it away like most of us do, which helped police and detectives locate the exact time that Moskolyova was at the metro. And when they checked the CCTV surveillance, they realized that she was indeed with Pichuschkin at the time. When Moskolyova's body was found in Bitsa Park on June 14, 2006, investigators quickly located the note, what I said earlier. On June 16, 2006, police stormed Pichuschkin's apartment and placed him under arrest. Pichuschkin did not deny the crimes. In fact, he was eager to brag about them. Initially, officers tried everything they could to bring out something from his mouth, but he refused to speak until one detective used a very smart move. He started poking Pichushkin very hard, saying stuff like he knows Pichushkin cannot commit the murder and all of that, which made Pichushkin snap out and began barking. When officers searched his apartment, they discovered a wooden chessboard. On it, 61 of the 64 squares were filled with handwriting dates, each marking the murder of a human being. Pichushkin was furious that the police initially only charged him with around 20 murders. He wanted to be recognized for all the murders he committed because he wanted to surpass Russia's most serial killer. So he wanted to be acknowledged that he had committed 61 murders. Pichushkin said a quote while he was interrogated. He said, "For me, a life without murder is like a life without food for you. I feel like the father of all these people since I was the one who opened the door for them to another world. You brought me to justice for 48, but I killed 60." In October 2001, Alexander Pichushkin stood trial in Moscow. To protect him from the wrath of the victim's family, he was held inside a reinforced glass cage in the courtroom. Throughout the trial, he showed zero remorse, often smirking at the weeping relatives of those he had butchered. On October 24, 2007, the jury found him guilty of 48 murders and 3 attempted murders. 3 of the victims survived. One woman who Pichushkin threw in the sewage survived by swimming and keeping her head up through the sewage and eventually finding an opening. A woman saw her and called for help, and when she was sent to the hospital, she reported Pichushkin's attempted murder to the police, but the police did not pay any attention to her. Another victim that survived was also a male. He was also thrown into the sewage, but one thing Pichushkin failed to notice was that his jacket hooked the edge of the sewage, which avoided him from falling. This made him climb back up, and he also did report to the authorities, but once again the authorities did nothing. So this is 2 accounts of how the 3 survivors made it alive. On October 29th, 2007, the judge delivered the final sentence: life imprisonment with the first 15 years to be served in solitary confinement. Russia had implemented a moratorium on the death penalty, otherwise he would have faced execution. This made a lot of people furious. They felt like life imprisonment was not enough for the number of murders that Pichushkin had committed. Alexander Pichushkin was sent to Polaovo Penal Colony, one of Russia's harshest maximum security prisons located above the Arctic Circle, where he remains behind bars to this day, a man who traded human lives for squares on the board, forever trapped in a cage of his own making. Let me know your thoughts.